Okay, so after finishing talking about so and such and the usage of so and such, now I think we have to discuss something new. And this is the beginning of Unit 10 of Level 4. The first lesson, guys, in Level 4 is the passive voice. The passive voice is one of the most important lessons in Level 4. So please, you have to listen to me carefully while explaining the passive voice. Okay, before we explain the passive voice, we have to start by discussing this exercise. Now, this exercise is talking about three examples. The first example is saying, English is spoken here. The second example is, mobile phones must be switched off. And the third example is, travel cards are sold here. Someone is coming, let me accept Raid. Okay. Now the question is, underline the past participle in the notices that we have here. Where are the past participles? And we have to decide if they are regular or maybe irregular. What do you think? Where is the past participle or the verb 3 in the first example? Who could tell me?
Spoken.
Spoken. Thank you so much. It is spoken. The simple present is speak. The simple past is spoke, or the verb 2. The verb 3 is spoken. Okay, now where is the past participle or the verb 3 in the second example? Switched. Thank you so much. So switch is switched. Switched. Now where is the past participle in example number 3?
Sold.
It's sold. Sold. So this is the verb 3. Amazing. Now, what do you think? Is spoken regular or irregular verb?
Irregular.
Irregular, thank you so much. Now, what about switched? Is it regular or irregular?
Regular.
It
Yes,
is
regular.
regular, thank you. What about sold?
Regular.
It is regular.
Irregular.
Irregular, exactly. Don't forget, Raed, that the regular verb I have to add D, ED, IED to the end of the verb. Okay? So any verb, if you want to add to any verb, D, ED, or IED, this is regular. But if you want to change the whole verb, this is what irregular, okay? When the verb doesn't accept the D, ED, IED, this is called what? Irregular verb, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now we have to talk about the passive. Before we go into details, guys, and before we read the passage and try to solve the exercise, let me explain the usage of the passive voice. This lesson, as I told you, is really important, and it is one of the most important lessons in level 4. Let me open this new file and let me start explaining the passive voice. First of all, guys, you have to remember that we have two kinds of sentences. We have the active voice. Wait, let me close this with the active voice. The second one is the passive voice. Let me show you the difference between the active voice and the passive voice. Okay, now in the example here, if I want to say, for example, John cleans the room. This is the simplest example ever. Now, the second example in the passive voice, I have to say the room. Wait, let me write the example in bold. The room is cleaned. Okay. Now, please remember, guys, when I mention the subject or the agent, when the agent is mentioned or the subject is mentioned, this is active voice. But when the subject is not mentioned, when the agent is not mentioned, this is passive voice. Okay? So notice that I know who cleans the room. So this is John. But here, John is not mentioned in this example because John is not mentioned, the subject is not mentioned, the agent is not mentioned. This is the passive voice.
إذا
Okay.
قلنا by John
By John.
ما
Thank you
بيكون
so
passive.
much. By John. No, it is passive. By John.
Okay.
But let me tell you something, Raed. Is it important to say by John or no? Now, this is the usage of the passive voice. Now, when should I use the passive voice? Keep in mind, please, guys, that one, I have to use the passive voice when it is or when the subject or the agent. When the subject or agent is unknown. Is unknown. Let me give you an example. Let's imagine that Maysa goes to work by car. Okay, every day Maysa goes to work by car, and the car is all the time in front of her house. But one day, when she wants to go to work, or when she wants to go to her work, she doesn't find her car. So now I know that Maysa is going to be angry because her car is missing. Now, because Maysa is angry, she wants to shout. Now, she wants to say, my car is stolen. My car is stolen. So notice that Maysa said, my car is stolen. My car is stolen. Now, the question is, why doesn't Maysa said the thief stole my car? So the question is, why Maysa doesn't say the thief stole my car? The thief stole my car. And
because she doesn't know who is
exactly. So we notice that the thief is unknown. Okay, because the thief is unknown, I have to use the passive voice. Okay, so it's not important to mention the subject because the subject is unknown. I don't know the thief. I don't know his or her name. I don't know his or her shape. So this is why it is not important to, or yes, to mention the subject. In this way, you have to use what? The passive voice. Okay? This is the first usage. The second usage is when the subject is, or maybe the agent, absolutely, the agent is known. Let me give you an example. Let's imagine that Raed wants to travel abroad, okay, outside Lebanon. After 10 years, Raed comes back home and he finds that there is a bridge that is built next to your home, Raed, okay? So Raed wants to say something about the bridge. Now Raed is going to say, the bridge is built. The bridge is built. Okay, now the question is, Why doesn't Ra'id say the builders built the bridge? The bridge.
Because no one can build a bridge إلا builders.
Exactly, because we all know that the people who built the bridge are what? The builders. Absolutely, they are not doctors or nurses, for example, or teachers. So we know that the people who build buildings, for example, are whom? Builders. So because the subject is known for all of us, I don't have to mention the subject. So you notice that it is something silly to say the builders built the bridge. And it is something silly to say the thief stole my car. So this is unknown, this is known. So in both ways, there is no important to mention the subject. The third usage, guys, of the passive voice is when the subject is not important, is not important. What do I mean when the subject is not important? Let's imagine that we want to watch a movie, all of us. And when we reach the cinema, we want to buy the tickets. Suddenly, guys, we see a sign that is saying the tickets are sold here, are sold here. And we notice that if I want to use the active, I have to say we sell the tickets. Okay, to be honest, guys, I don't care about you if you sell the tickets or not. I only care about what? About the tickets. So because the subject is not important, I don't care about the seller. If he is a man, if she is a girl, old man, old woman, I don't care about the person who is selling the tickets. I only care about the tickets because of that, and because the subject is not important to be mentioned, I don't have to use it. So I have to say the tickets are sold here. It's I think it's more important to say we sell the tickets here. Okay? So please be careful. And the last usage of the passive voice is if the emphasis is on the subject, on the subject. What do I mean if the emphasis is on the subject? Let me write an example and let me show you. If I want to say, guys, Shakespeare, for example, Shakespeare wrote Hamlet or Romeo and Juliet, whatever you want, Hamlet. And I want to say Hamlet is written by Shakespeare. Okay, now all I want, guys, is just to know that if I want to mention the subject in this example, the emphasis is on the subject. But in the passive voice, the emphasis is on the object. So this is why sometimes it's not important to mention the object, okay? And sometimes it is very important because you told me what shall I say, by John or no? If I want to focus on John, I have to say by John. But if I don't care about John, I don't care about the person who cleaned the room, I don't have to mention John. Okay?
Okay.
So These are the usages of
One
the past.
question, teacher.
Yes, yes, sir.
بالنسبة
myself.
للtense of verb
This is
عم
the most.
بيكونوا بالpresent
Uh-huh.
عم بيصيروا present perfect.
Yes. Okay. Please
Okay.
listen to me,
آخر
myself.
واحدة
Uh-huh.
لحظة آخر واحدة مش غلط.
Hamlet is
wrote
written by.
مش لازم was written.
Yes,
past
I have to
perfect.
write was. Thank you so much. Because
Oh,
do you know
bravo
why?
أنا.
Yes. Do you know why, myself? Because I don't have to change the tense. Okay,
إيه
exactly.
صح.
Yeah, I know. But I know that
Okay.
I'm writing only a certain example. But absolutely, as said, guys, you don't have to change the tense at all. This is the second step. You have to be careful. If you want to use the passive voice, we have three steps we need to apply. The second step is you don't have to change the tense. Notice the tense here is what? Simple present. I have to use the simple present. Here, simple present, I have to say, or I have to use the simple present. I have to say the boulder is built, and I have to say a bolt was built. Okay, the bridge was. So yes, I don't have to change the tense at all. Okay. So this is clean. This is correct. My car is stolen. No, I have to say my car was stolen. So I have to say the thief stole my car. By the way, this is the second step, and I have to tell you the tips now, or the steps. Okay. Now, how can I form the passive voice? Now, to form the passive voice, guys, please, you have to apply these three steps. Do not forget them, and you have to apply all of them just to be able to change the active to passive. Now, what is step number one? Step number one is write the object in the beginning of the sentence. In the beginning of the sentence. This is usage, or this is the step number one. Step number two, as myself said, you don't have to change the tense. So keep or maintain the tense. If it is simple present, you have to write the passive in the simple present. Simple past, simple past. Present continuous, present continuous. Now, step three is write the past participle or the verb three, or let me call it verb three, whatever you want, of the main verb, of the main verb. Now, let me show you the best way to apply these steps and to form the passive voice out of the active. Okay, let's apply these steps now on the simple present tense. Simple present tense. And we have to apply them on the simplest example ever. The simplest example is John cleans the room. Okay. I need you to notice, guys, that John is the subject, cleans is the verb, and the room is the object. Okay. What is step number one? Write the object in the beginning of the sentence. Where is the object in this sentence? Where is the object?
The room.
The room, thank you. So the room is the object. So this is the first step. I have to write the room. Okay. Step number two, keep the tense. So we said that the tense is what? Simple present. And in the simple present, I have to use is, or are. Is, or are. Okay. I know that you want to ask me this question. Why specifically is, or are? Now listen to me carefully, because this is the most important rule in explaining the passive voice. Guys, all the passive voice, all of it, without any exception, revolves around the verb to be. What I care in the passive voice is verb to be only. Okay, let me show you how to react and deal with verb to be in the passive voice. Let me write here verb 0. And let me write here verb 1. Here we have verb 2. Here we have verb 3. Okay, and let's try to apply the verb to be here. Okay, so keep in mind that the verb 0 is the infinitive, is the base form of the main verb, or of the verb to be, the base form, infinitive. Okay. So the base form or the infinitive of be is be. I don't have to change it there. I don't have to change it at all. Now keep in mind that the verb 1 is the simple present. Now what is the simple present of be? It is are. Okay? Is, and are. This is the simple present. Now, verb 2 is simple past. What is the simple past of
Was,
be?
were,
Thank you so much. Was and were. Now, what is the past participle or the verb 3 of be? Who could tell me? Who is
been
this?
أو been.
Been. Thank you, Maysa. Exactly. It is been. Now, keep in mind that we have something that is called in English gerund. Gerund. Now, if you want to ask me the meaning of gerund, the meaning of gerund is exactly add ing to any verb. So be becomes what?
ing.
Ing becomes being. Okay. Now, this is what I want. Only I want the verb to be in the passive voice. Please be careful and don't forget this rule. Because we are talking about the simple present tense, I have to use what? Is are. Now, if I want to use the simple past tense, I have to use was, were. If I'm talking about the perfect tenses, I have to use been. If I'm talking about the continuous tenses, I have to use being. If I'm talking about what? If I'm talking about models, I have to use be. So please don't forget it. Okay. So now, because we are talking about the simple present tense, I have to use what is are. And because the room is singular, I have to use what is. Okay? So this is step number 2. Now, number 3, write the past participle of the main verb. Where is the main verb in this sentence? John cleans the room.
cleaned.
Cleaned. Thank you. So the verb, the main verb is clean. And the past participle of the main verb clean, which is cleaned. So the room is cleaned.
يعني teacher أنا كمان حكيت شي غلط. ما
What?
خص ال present perfect وال past perfect لأنه هوليك فيهم have و has و had ما
No,
يعني مش
Maysa,
هي.
Maysa, the passive voice should be applied on all tenses, all of them, without any exception, the 12 tenses. No, you're right, okay?
أوكي طب أعطينا example عليهم.
Okay, wait,
أو ال past
please.
perfect أو
I'm going to explain everything.
Oh,
Don't wash the things
thank
up.
you.
Okay, now what if I have John cleans the rooms? How can I form the passive out of this active voice? John cleans the rooms. What shall I say?
يعني بدنا نزيد by John.
No. Okay, wait. Now notice the object is what? Is a plural. Am I right? I added the S plural. Am I right? So I have to say the rooms. Okay, because the rooms is a plural, I cannot use is with the plural verb. I have to use what?
Or.
Exactly. This is it. So the rooms are cleaned. Be careful, please, about the singular and plural. Okay? Okay. Now, this is in the simple present tense. Now, let's talk about the simple past tense. Now, to the simple past. Again, I'm not going to change the example because I want you to fully understand the passive voice. So, the simple past. As I told you in verb 1, verb 2, verb 3, gerund, infinitive, the verb 1 I have to use is, are. Now, the simple past, I have to use what?
Was were.
Exactly. Was and were. This is it. So was and were. Absolutely. I'm going to show you some examples. And as I told you, I'm not going to change the example. I'm going to write it the same. So John cleaned the room. Now, what is step number 1? I have to write the object. Where is the object?
The room.
The room. Thank you. Now, step number 2.
Was.
Was. Thank you. Step number 3. Cleaned. Amazing. The room was cleaned. Okay. Now, what if I have John cleaned the rooms?
The rooms were cleaned.
Bravo, Hiba. The rooms were cleaned. Exactly. Be careful again about the singular and the plural. Okay. This is in the simple past tense. Now, let's talk about the present continuous tense. The present continuous tense. Jamila is coming. Jamila, you are late. Okay. Now, let me write the example, and I need you to be careful. Now, the same example, I'm not going to change it. John, but wait, let me not write them in bold. So, John is cleaning the room. Okay. Keep in mind that here the tense is the present continuous because I have is plus verb plus ing. Now, keep in mind, guys, please, if you are talking about continuous tenses, I have to use what? Gerund. So I have to use what? Being. So all the time, again, if you are using continuous tenses, use being immediately. So this is being. Now let's apply the same steps. Step number 1, I have to write the object. The object is the room.
The room.
Exactly. Now I have to keep the tense. The tense is a present continuous, and the room, because it is singular, I have to use is. Now, is being. Step number 3, write the past
Cleaned.
participle clean.
Yes.
So
Okay.
notice that this is a present continuous, and this is a present continuous. I have to keep the tense. I don't have to change it at all. So please, again, if you are using the continuous tenses, write the gerund, which is verb ing of the verb to be, which is being immediately. It is the same, guys, with the past continuous. So now the past continuous tense. The past continuous tense. Okay. As I told you, because we have continuous, I have to write being. I don't have to change anything. So this is being, and this is being. And I'm going to write the same example. As I told you, I'm not going to change anything for the fully understanding. So I have to say John was cleaning the room. So please tell me the passive now.
The room.
The room was Okay.
Was being
Being
cleaned.
cleaned. Thank you so much. That's amazing. So again, notice the using of the gerund, which is being, because I'm talking about continuous. Now, what if I have John was cleaning the rooms?
The rooms were
Exactly.
being cleaned.
Exactly. The rooms were being
Were being-
cleaned. That's it. Thank you so much. So this is with the simple present, simple past, present continuous, past continuous. Now let's talk about the perfect tenses. Please listen to me. Now 5. What if I want to use the passive voice with the present perfect tense? Present perfect tense. Okay, let's go back to the verbs that I have already explained. This is it. Okay. Now, please listen to the rule carefully. Now, because as I told you, if we have continuous verbs, I have to use being. Now, any perfect, you have to use what? Been immediately. So, any perfect tense is not only the present perfect, the past perfect, present perfect continuous, past perfect continuous, future perfect. So you have to use been. Now apply the 3 steps. Absolutely. Step number 1. Wait, where is the example? Wait. Let me write the example. John, I'm not going to change the example. John has cleaned the room. And as I told you, because we have perfect, I have to use been. Now I have to apply the same steps. The room is the object. Okay. Number 2, I have to maintain the tense. Now, present perfect, the room is singular, so I have to write has, and I have to write been. Finally, step number 3, I have to write the verb 3 of the main verb, which is cleaned. So the room has been cleaned. Okay? So notice this is the present perfect. I didn't change the tense at all. This is present perfect, and this is present perfect. It is exactly the same with the past perfect, but wait, what if I want to say, John has cleaned the rooms?
the rooms have been
The
cleaned.
rooms have, thank you. So absolutely, because it is plural, I have to say have, but not has. So this is it. Again, even if we have the past perfect tense, it is the same. So notice that the past perfect tense, I have to write been. And here, because we have perfect, again, I have to use been. And I'm not going to change the example. John had cleaned the room. Okay, now please tell me the passive now.
The room had been cleaned.
Thank you so much. The room had been cleaned. Exactly. Okay. Now, what if we have John had cleaned the rooms?
The same one.
The
Had
same
been.
room. Exactly. So, had been, because had with all pronouns and nouns. Okay. So, this is the 6th tense, which is past perfect. Now, let me check your smartness by writing the present perfect continuous. Let me write the same example, because as I told you, I'm not going to change the example at all. Now, John has been cleaning the room. Okay. I know that I told you guys that if we have perfect, I have to write been. But notice that been is already written. I don't have to write been again. And I told you, because I have continuous, I have to write being. I don't have being here, so I have to write being immediately. Now, apply the same steps. The room has been being cleaned. Okay? So again, I know that I told you if you have perfect, you have to use been. But we already have been in the active. You don't have to duplicate or write been again. So go to the continuous, because I told you that if you want to use any continuous, you have to write being. In the active, I don't have being, so you have to write being. So the active now is the room has been being cleaned. It is the same with past perfect continuous. Now, the past perfect continuous or progressive, whatever you want. Again, we have the same example. I'm not going to change it. John has, no wait, it is past, had been cleaning the room. Now tell me the passive.
The room had been cleaned.